Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the first episode of After the Whistle, where we bring you player ratings and match analysis. I'm Ankit.
And I'm Craig.
And now, guys, for you guys today, we have two special guests, fellow Manchester United supporters, Akshat and Rohit.
Hi guys.
So,
Hey
welcome,
guys.
guys, to Old Trafford Odyssey, your Manchester United fan channel. So, without, dilly dallying, let's get straight into the debate and all the frustration. Let the rants come out. What did you guys think of the game, guys?
Ten Hag got it wrong. Ten Hag got it really wrong, man. I mean, the formation, none of us expected us to be starting the same, fielding the same lineup that started against Wolves. Then we get a shocker. We're hoping maybe Ten Hag has faith in his team, but clearly that faith was not justified. I've been poor performances all over the pitch. Apart from maybe Casemiro, who put in a half-baked decent performance, and Onana was probably our man of the match. But then apart from that,
Agreed.
Bruno, poor penalty decision that should have gone our way, didn't go our way. But that's still no excuse. We were terrible,
I'll absolutely agree, man. I
terrible,
mean, I definitely
shambolic.
think Ten Hag got this really wrong. Akshat, Rohit, what are your guys' thoughts? What are your opinion, on Ten Hag's decision of going ahead with the exact same team despite the performance we saw against Wolves?
So yeah, as per me, yes, he did get it wrong, but on the flip side, I know like we've lost, and now everyone will be blaming the squad and the team. But to be honest, the first half we played really well. In terms of the fluidity was a bit better than Wolves. We had a couple of chances. Um, and I think the reason Ten Hag probably went with the same team was he wanted to give them another shot. Probably against Wolves, it was the first game of the season, but second half was like embarrassing, to be honest. Like it just felt like
Men versus
uh,
boys. Men
men's
versus
versus boys.
boys.
It gave me a recap of the Brentford first half. I mean, yes, the score was not 4-0, but the performance was similar to that. Like non midfield defense was non-existent.
Yeah, it
Like
definitely felt like a 4-0.
yeah, it felt like a 4-0. And yes, we did have a couple of chances in the second half as well, but so did Spurs.
I mean, we again, no, I get your point, in what you're trying to say, but I love Ten Hag, but sometimes you need to criticize somebody where there is a mistake. I feel that I understand why Ten Hag went with the same
Yes.
squad to probably give
Show
that sort of
faith in
message
them.
and that motivation to the squad that go, you guys are better than this, go out there and
Yeah.
do what you were supposed to do against Wolves. So I kind of sort of understand that. But this team, we've seen this time and again with this team. They're always capable of putting in like an extremely terrible performance. And going forward, Rohit, I want to hear what your thoughts are because it just seems like we just cannot score to save our lives. I
We're
mean, forget
toothless up
the
front,
defense or
man.
the midfield for in once. Even if we do everything right in defense and midfield, it just seems like we cannot score.
Yeah, that's the point. We're not able to score, and I think a lot of players are playing out of position. For example, Rashford is definitely playing out of position. Casemiro is kind of alone in the midfield, and there's a lot of gaps. And once Bruno and Mount get caught out, then the other team knows that we're exposed. So I'm
Yeah.
not really sure what the balance in midfield is, or what is the best balance in midfield. Obviously, there are new signings that we have to make, and it's clear that some players cannot play together. For example, I can't see how Bruno and Mount would play together. But there's another point I wanted to add, which is not on the tactics or on the players. I feel this is a mentality issue also, and I feel like even last season there was an interview where Ten Hag was asked, "What is your take on losing away games to the top nine side?" And he replied saying, "I know the reason, and we will fix it." So there is some reason, there is some mentality, or there's some sort of a reason why they're not showing up at away games.
It's
No, absolutely.
not just
I agree with
mentality.
you.
Yeah. It's not
There
just
is
mentality.
definitely a big issue with mentality. You're spot on there, because time and again we see this, that we're capable of giving abysmal performances wherein within seconds we look like we might just completely crumble. We have players with their shoulders dropping around, players just watching, blaming each other, throwing tantrums, walking around the pitch, not putting in enough. I mean, yeah, and as you rightly pointed, there is a big of concern, wherein I also right now can't see how Bruno and Mount work together, and how Ten Hag solves this midfield issue that we have. Although definitely I think Mount today was in terms a little better as compared to Wolves. I think he still put in a shift wherein he was slightly a bit deeper and not as going forward, as in I think there were times when instead of running forward he did hold back, but it still doesn't seem to work, right?
So
It still doesn't seem enough. It doesn't seem like he can still solve that area of the issue where we have in these away games against these big teams, where we need somebody next to a Casemiro, that box to box, maybe a ball carrying player who can get through the midfield, take those passes on half turns with that awareness, vision, and do that sort of distribution and connect that midfield and defense to the attack. We're missing that link, I feel, and so far I haven't seen enough from Mount for that maybe he can do what probably Ten Hag expects of him.
so
And again, with how he pointed about Rashford, Marcus
he's
Rashford,
not a striker, man. Like he
we've
shouldn't
all
be
seen he's
there.
not a striker. We all seen that he's not comfortable there. I know Ten Hag needs a striker, but I think going into this game, he would have probably been a bit better if Rashford was on the left, and we probably started off with Sancho in
Or
the
even
center of
Martial at
false
this
nine.
point. Like
See,
even
Martial, I wouldn't say anything about Martial because we never know whether he's actually fit or he's not. Yes, he did come on for a while, but you never know what's his fitness like, right? I don't think he's ready yet for about another 90 minutes, and maybe Tanak feels the same, which is why he was not started. But irrelevant, we still should needed Rashford on the left.
So this is the reason why Ten Hag is looking at players like Pavard, Amrabat, Gravenberch, and then
No,
of course
But
we
no,
need
no.
Hoyland also to be getting into the team as soon as possible. We lack that focal point going up front. Our fullbacks also we're trying to
But
play an
that's on.
inverted fullback
I mean,
role. We
that is
can't do
another
that.
thing on Ten Hag. I mean, this is one thing that is on Eric Ten Hag, in my opinion, because it was his choice
To
to
go for Mount first,
prioritize and target
prioritize
Mount
Mount.
over
Yeah,
players like
that
Amrabat
was
or
wrong.
Pavard. I mean, we could have gotten Amrabat and Pavard both in
Both
the price of what we got
Mason
Mount.
Mount.
I understand the whole, he likes Mount and he would like to go for that young, homegrown talent. And he definitely has that talent and prospect. He definitely has that scope and age to develop into the sort of player maybe that Ten Hag wants and sees in him. But I don't see him solving the issues we have now in
Yeah.
today, right now. And maybe, which is why I think Mount probably should have been a little lower in the priority list,
Yeah.
wherein we first attack players like Amrabat, Pavard, and then if we can sell enough players and have that money, go for Mount. What do you guys think, Akshat and Rohit, in this matter?
So, yes, so actually we would want to share three pointers from this. So initially, first thing, on the manager's front, like yes, like you can always back the manager, but you can criticize him as well when he gets it wrong. So even like not just for this lineup, the lineup for against the Wolves, I'm not sure what was the whole strategy or tactics behind starting Sancho as a false nine all the preseason games and trying to test that thing out, and then just not going with it in our first two matches.
I
And then
mean, it's still too early. It's just two matches in. So, I mean, yes, I do get,
you can start. You can start Sancho against at least Wolves, right?
yes, I agree with you. Like,
Should
I
have
mean,
started Sancho
I
today.
don't deny. I mean,
That's the first
forget
thing.
if not the first game. I understand. He probably thought that the pace of Garnacho would probably do us better, and the we definitely we all knew before going into the first game. We all knew that Garnacho probably had the best attacking threat in that squad. He looks the most likely to score when he's usually on. But again, he's a youngster. We shouldn't have to put that sort of pressure on him. But I understand him start, Ten Hag's thought process
He's
of
got
starting
limited
him.
options. He's
And
not got
again, like
anyone
I
to
said,
play.
it's still early in. Obviously we do have a right to, criticize our manager when we feel that, he's probably made a wrong decision. Like I said, I love Ten Hag. But sometimes he can get some things wrong. Like today, he probably got this wrong. Again, it's early, and maybe he wanted to give these guys another game that jolt, like we discussed. But it just didn't work. But I mean, we would definitely like to see him take some sort of action going forward, because this needs to be solved now, guys. I
Yeah.
mean, we've got Arsenal coming up soon, and that's away again, and we can't be performing the way we are. It's a shambles right now.
I'm
It's
expecting some news coming in tomorrow morning. That was the level of performance we put in today. To be
terrible,
very honest, terrible.
absolutely terrible. I mean,
We
we've got Vidyut here saying, guys, please stop blaming Erik Ten Hag, not fair.
It's not his fault.
And
Also, he's
Garnacho
got
is a
limited
teenager.
resources. Yeah, I know.
Also, Rashford is in his 8th season, and he is so one-dimensional, is what Vidyut says. These attackers
It's
can't
true.
finish nor create any chances.
Rashford
So
was
I
poor.
agree. I agree with him that Rashford is very one-dimensional. Wherein, if Rashford doesn't score, or if there is not that one moment in that 90 minute, that purple patch, Rashford offers absolutely nothing. I mean, it's high time that he starts getting some sort of criticism. He's been here 8 years. What are your views on this, Akshat, Rohit? I mean, we would like to hear more from you guys about Rashford, because he seems to be shielded from a lot of criticism in mainstream media, and we would like to know what you guys feel in terms of Rashford's performances of late. And I mean, even last year, apart from his purple patch, he had only 7 goals in 28 games, and he seems to only be scoring more, mostly with these long balls that are lumped forward, which we can't keep expecting, and hoping to keep winning games with that.
I think Rashford is a good player for the counter-attacking system. I think he suits that system. He's not really fit for pressing as much as maybe Anthony or Bruno or any of the other teams. I mean, any of the other players. But yes, he has not performed in quite a few games, and that's also down to him being played out of position. And I think there was an interview where he did mention that he does not like to play as a striker.
I
And
mean, but it's been
Yeah,
8 years. I think Rashford has had enough opportunity to play in positions that he likes as well. I haven't seen as much, to be honest. And I mean, in terms of pressing, like we all know the sort of gameplay Erik Ten Hag likes to play. Am I right? I mean, we know he likes that high pressing intensity from high up the pitch, and it starts from your striker. And Rashford offers absolutely nothing pressing. I don't see Rashford pressing. Have you?
Never.
How much do you see Rashford
Never,
press in the
never.
90 minutes?
In fact, he
The
doesn't want the
sort
ball
of-
to come to him. He wants the ball to go past him so that he can
I
run
mean, the
towards the ball.
sort of criticism that Cristiano got
There's no
at the
link-up
age
play
of
with-
37 for not pressing.
Yeah.
I don't see the same sort of energy and the sort of criticism for Rashford when he absolutely is probably 100 times worse than Cristiano was at pressing.
He's got the pace to press. I mean, I don't know what it
He's
is.
young,
I'm
he's
sure
got the
Ten Hag's
pace.
probably putting it in his head to, like, Rashford, you need to go ahead and press the opposition's defenders, but he doesn't seem to do that. He doesn't seem to care. In fact, he wants the ball to be
He's
played ahead
walking
of
on
him.
the pitch.
He wants
If
to
he's
run
not,
towards the ball.
if he does not have the ball at his feet, he's just walking off the on the pitch. I don't understand what else Rashford offers. Rashford can't dribble
I
and
think-
go into the wing much.
Yeah,
Rashford
I
can't
think
cross.
just on that point where you were saying he doesn't press much, there's another point I wanted to add. So I think one of the tactics when we're playing this counter attacking or this pressing system, I think a lot of the strikers try to reserve their energy for those sprints.
For the burst,
I
yeah,
think
burst
that's-
of speed.
Yeah, for the burst. So maybe that could be one of the reasons why he's not pressing as much as the wingers.
But that's
It could be one of
don't
the
you
reasons.
think that's sort of like an excuse?
Yeah.
That's probably you're not fit enough at this level playing in the Premier League for a club like Manchester United. That is not an excuse that your striker is not pressing up front because he's saving energy for sprints, which probably is anyways not happening.
How many times did he sprint today?
in the
I
game
didn't see
today?
him sprint at all.
So what is he saving his energy for? That one ball that comes from top.
that's so just on Rashford. That's the problem with him, as per me. He doesn't have like a decent game. He either has a
A bad game or a great game.
like a very good game, like a great game, he's either the man of the match or then he just eats at 1 or 2 performance. Like I really wish that he has performances like what Rooney used to have. A
It's
solid
been
season.
We
eight
can't
guys.
compare the two. We can't compare the two.
It's
Rooney was
been
world
eight
class, man.
seasons, man. It's been 8 seasons. For how long are we gonna be waiting for
But
a
but
performance to
but
come out or the consistency to come out to be
yeah,
able
but
to see
you
that?
should you should also remember that those 8 seasons were during some of the worst seasons at
Yeah.
United, and the
There's
team
no
was
But
stability.
that
absolutely in
still,
shambles,
I
like
mean, come on, that
absolute
still does
shambles.
not give you an excuse. We've seen players like Cristiano Ronaldo score 20 goals in the worst United side. We've seen Zlatan do it. We've seen Rooney perform really well in these atrocious teams. So I don't feel that that's enough of an excuse. I mean, the entire squad has been having, the whole club has been having an abysmal last 2 decades
Decade.
almost, man. Under the Glazers, we all know this right now. I mean, let's just aim our frustration where it's supposed to be aimed. The main reason is the
Our
Glazers. We
board and
need
our
to understand
management,
all these two,
the
all
owners.
these random Twitter accounts that I see this entire transfer season that have been going like, oh, murder madness. He's done a fantastic job with the transfers, and with all this
Those are
PR
biased.
bullshit spin
Yeah.
coming in from. What has the club done good in this transfer window? I rated probably a 2 or a 3 out of 10. We've
After this
barely got
result,
any of Erik Ten Hag's number one signings other than Mount. Onana, obviously, we got a good goalkeeper, but the entire pathetic treatment of David De Gea, it came on the
No,
back
no,
of
no,
that.
exactly. So
But
all
at least
these
those,
cheap trans,
yeah.
I mean, look at
So I think,
everything the
yeah,
way
I
we've done.
just
We've rejected a bid of 60 million pounds
we should
for
have
Harry
sold
Maguire and
them.
Scott McTominay.
Should have sold them
I
then and
mean,
there.
please, can
no,
anybody explain to
but
me
again,
how is McTominay
yeah,
worth 30 million?
see, I think McTominay. I think, in my opinion, I don't think they should sell McTominay. I think he's a decent squad player.
I think we
Maguire,
need to get
yes,
rid of
they
him.
should get rid of him.
Um,
But
How else are you gonna? Whom are you
We
gonna get rid of to get
I
money to
think,
get in players like Amrabat? If you get Amrabat in, where is McTominay fit?
yeah,
Where does he play?
bro.
Do you think McTominay is better than Amrabat? And what does
no, I'm not
McTominay
saying that.
offer? I mean, in the last 1 year, he's not had a single good game. So, what does he offer? What has he shown in the last 1 to 2 years that says that he's worth 30 million?
But again, on the Maguire situation, I think if he is not leaving, then I mean, he's a player under contract, and
See,
if he is
Maguire,
not in
that's
the
my point, right? You have 60 million pounds offered for Maguire and McTominay. You accept 60 million pounds. You give 7 out of that to Maguire and clear his wages. You still have 53 left. You
The
sell
exact
Fred
amount of
for about
time.
15.
Yeah.
You still have how much left? That's 68 million pounds that you now have to go get Amrabat, Pavard, or maybe somebody else.
so
We need those
That's
players that you just
68
mentioned.
million. I mean, we would get Amrabat for 25 and Pavard for what? Probably about 27, 28.
Yeah.
And we would still have money left.
We would have signed the both of them by now.
Exactly. So what are we?
But
Why
with a
did we
huge difference.
reject an offer of 60 million pound when we could have just accepted it, pay that 7 million wages off to Maguire and let him go? Rather than keeping him on as now a fifth choice centre back who's on 200,000 pounds a week. This is
But again,
exactly the issue with
see,
FFP. We've all
see,
seen with Chelsea, right? Rohit, you would
yeah,
agree with me. We've all seen with Chelsea that FFP is not
yeah,
an issue if you can sell.
They've
I
raised
agree
300
with
million
you.
worth
But
of transfers. They've sold players worth 300 million this year. That just shows
I
we've
mean,
probably not been able to do that in a decade.
so Rohit, what were you saying?
yeah. So, but you're talking about the whole selling, and we obviously as a club we've not sold well in the last few years. That's for sure. But again, if United were to pay off Maguire that 7 million in wages or whatever, it also sets the tone for other players to take advantage of it.
No, I mean, it
And I don't
probably
think
sets a
that should
tone.
become a
See,
culture.
we've already set a tone
I'd fuck
when
him
we
off.
gave Rashford more than 350k a week. So let's not talk about setting a tone because we've already set 100 wrong tones. So if you're doing something that's actually benefiting the club, why are you thinking now? When you don't think for things that are completely shattering your club's wage structure, you're now thinking for something that is actually benefiting your club, and where Erik Ten Hag has already made it clear that is his priority signing. He needs that. We all know, since how long do we know that we need a central midfielder?
But just on this, it's again funny to me because we're blaming Maguire when he didn't even play today. I don't know why we're going off on
No,
Maguire
because
for that.
obviously,
We're
right?
blaming him
Why are
because we would
we
have had
in the
Pavard by
position
now.
we
Yeah,
are?
yeah,
Why are we in the position
yeah.
we are? Why can't we improve on our squad? Why can't we get better players? Because we have players like Maguire that are still sucking the blood of this club dry.
I wouldn't be surprised if I see us accepting the bid tomorrow and getting rid of Maguire.
We should, because I
And
mean,
that's the sad
I
part.
to be honest, guys, I don't see how we even make top four unless we solve this midfield crisis and get somebody like an Amrabat in minimum. I mean,
We need
we
two.
ideally definitely
We
need
need
even
two.
somebody like Pavard, because we've seen even with his good defensive prowess in Van Bissaka and a better attacking prowess with Luke Shaw, they're still not good enough for this level. We need somebody like a Pavard in certain games where we need that bit of creativity going up top or a bit more stability behind.
Yeah. Pavard's versatile as well.
But I also
Pavard is
think
also
that
mental, guys.
No, I mean, my point
Is it done?
if he's gone right now, there might be somebody else. We can go for Todibo. But my point is that we are losing out on all these targets. Now, Pavard's gone. All of these players are ready. They were willing to come to Manchester United. They want to come to
Exactly.
United. They've been waiting.
Bro, I
but
wouldn't
we
see
can't
Amrabat.
sell players, so
I
we
wouldn't-
can't buy anybody.
I wouldn't be surprised seeing Amrabat go somewhere else because we're taking far too long. He's been waiting for
Liverpool,
2
man,
months.
probably.
Yeah.
Liverpool, probably.
Liverpool, and that's gonna
Guys,
hurt.
in any
That's gonna
case,
really
I mean,
hurt.
let's in any case, let's
Let's move on to
move
the
on to the
player
player
ratings.
ratings, because
Yeah.
we all know, I mean, it's a frustrating night and the rant will go on forever. So, guys, let's get into the player rating. Let me pull up on the screen for you guys our player ratings for today. This is between me and Craig, and we'd like to hear Akshat and Rohit your opinions and your player ratings as well. And also, guys, if you guys are watching, please throw in your ratings on the chat as well. Let us know what you guys feel about the game, and tell us your views and what are your ratings for today's performance for our players. So, guys, let's start with the back. So let's begin with our goalkeeper, which is
Man of the
Andre
match.
Onana. I mean, I would agree. That he is our man of the match already. So as you can see on the screen, he's got that tiny star. So he is our man of the match.
He's not a goalkeeper. He's our second best midfielder.
Yeah, true that.
I mean, it's
Today
hilarious.
he was our best midfielder today. In fact,
It's hilarious how a goalkeeper is actually so much better in playing with his foot than so many of our outfield players. Their passing accuracy is better than so many of our midfielders.
one of his long range pass to Garnacho. I'm sure you guys
Dude,
saw
that
that.
switch was
That was
insane.
world class. That was world class.
And Garnacho should have done probably more than that. He's young now. He's definitely going to develop. But I think one of the areas is decision making where
Yeah.
Garnacho can improve.
True.
So
We'll
that.
come to Garnacho. I
yeah.
have views on him.
So I mean, guys, our rating for Onana is a 7, strong 7, and I think that there was not much he could do for any of the
Just a
goals that was
question
conceded.
On just one question, I don't know, probably being a bit too harsh. Could he have done better for the first goal?
No.
No, I
Couldn't have
really
done
don't
jack
think,
shit,
yeah, bro.
Roof
I
of the
mean,
net.
yeah,
it was in the roof of the net, man.
exactly.
God
I-
couldn't have saved that.
I don't think there's much he could have done, in terms of both the goals, to be honest. And it'll be a little harsh to, actually put the blame on the keeper when your entire, back line also, in terms of, I think the only solid defender we
Varane.
had was Varane today.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when in a back four you have only one defender performing, there's not much you can blame on the keeper. And he did bring out some outstanding saves, made some really good passes like we know he can. And like Craig just mentioned, that
That long
brilliant
pass.
switch. I mean, that should have been a goal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, Garnacho should have squared that to Rashford. So, yeah, guys, I mean, it's a 7 for me. And I think Craig as well. What do you guys think, Akshat, Rohit? What are your ratings for Onana?
Yes. Good for me. Yeah. Also.
So we all agree to 7. Let's move on to the next. Let's pick
Defense.
Aaron Van Bissaka as our next player, guys.
6.
So we've rated Van Bissaka as average 6. So our ratings are from 1 to 10, guys, for the viewers. It's 1 to 10 with 6 being the average. So Van Bissaka has been given an average 6 according to us. Craig, I think,
He's always
he
solid
was,
at
yeah,
the
he
back.
was solid as one-on-one, but as we all know, he has some issues with his
limitations going
positioning.
forward and his positioning, yes.
Limitations are, going forward. There wasn't much I think anybody did, but I didn't see a lot that he did wrong as well.
Nah,
So I
yeah.
think probably an average 6.
He's a
What
likable
about-
player.
Yeah.
Van Bissaka's a likable
So
player.
what about Rohit, Akshat? What are your ratings for Van Bissaka?
I think he was good. So 6.5 is good. I think one of the things I like with Van Bissaka is he doesn't lose the ball. So whenever he gets the ball, I have some confidence as a fan that
Yeah.
whatever happens, he won't lose the ball. So
He's
I think
surprisingly
I
well at holding the ball. Huh? I
Yeah.
mean, as you rightly
Spider.
pointed out,
Proper spider, the
he's
guy.
actually surprisingly well at holding the ball. Although there's not much he does after holding the ball, but surprisingly he does hold the ball a lot. But I mean, he holds the ball like how we would like probably somebody like Rashford or Sancho when they come deep in to hold the
Bro,
ball.
he's better than Rashford.
But that's
He's
what
better
I'm
than
saying.
Rashford at holding the ball.
He's what we'd like to see in probably Rashford or Sancho, and people up top. Even Anthony, for that matter, is quite poor when he drops deep to hold the ball. He's more often
He's
than
weak
not. Yeah,
AF.
he's just really weak. So
He gets
a
barged off
solid,
the ball.
average score for Van Bissaka. Then Rafael Varane, guys, probably our best defender today, in our opinion.
give him
I
a
think
6.5.
6.5
Yeah.
for Rafael Varane.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say average. I think he was our best defender, but we still conceded 2 goals.
Not
so
good enough.
Not good enough.
As a performance. it is good
Absolutely.
enough.
So 6.5 for us,
He
Rohit and
got
Akshat.
rinsed by Son as well.
Hmm?
He got rinsed by Son during I think, second
Yes, he
half.
did. He did. I think that was one instance where he got found out. Definitely. So, like I said, not up to the best of what we've seen from him, and we know he's capable of. So a 6.5 for us. What about you guys, guy?
I'll go with 6.
Fair.
So
I think so.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Fair.
We completely understand that. What about Rohit?
I think the same. Yeah, 6. I think other than that one incident with Son, I think he was pretty solid at the back.
Yeah. So 6 for Rohit and Akshat. Let's move on to Martinez, guys. So
One of his worst performances in a United shirt.
not exactly
worst.
the
One of
worst.
the
I
worst.
mean,
Quite bad.
yeah, but one of.
He doesn't look up to speed.
I mean,
yet.
I don't think it was like an extremely poor performance by Martinez, in my opinion.
his standards,
but
it
I
was
think
poor.
that for his standards, like you rightly
We expect
pointed, we expect a
certain
lot more
for
from him.
certain level of
but
play.
again, with him also, yes, there was once or twice where he looked not the sharpest and at his best. But again, I don't see him, him doing so much wrong as well. So I think he was below what we'd like him to be, and maybe below average. I'd go with a 5.5.
So one thing I've noticed with Lisandro is he tends to tackle with his left foot a lot more. He uses his left foot a lot more to put in the tackle. That's what I feel.
He's a lefty, right? So
He is a lefty. He is a lefty, but I think that could be a disadvantage going forward at times.
See,
Especially when he plays a
generally,
lefty, like Haaland.
I agree, but what the thing with Martinez is he's usually, when he's at his best, he's a very intelligent defender.
Yeah, he positions himself
So he
very well.
positions himself really well. So he actually somehow overcomes that weakness, similar to Van Bissaka, whose positioning we all know is really bad in terms of defensing, but he has that ability to overcome that and get back somehow and still make that tackle and win the ball. So similarly, I think the same with Martinez, even though he uses his left foot a bit more, but when he's at his best, he does position himself really well.
What do you guys think?
So what are your
Martinez?
ratings
What-
for
what are your
Martinez,
views?
guys?
I think a bit harsh on Martinez.
Own goal.
He conceded 2 goals. And
The own
both
goal
the
was
Own goal.
both the goals, like even the first goal, went off a bit of a deflection from Martinez, so a bit unlucky on his part. But then again,
unlucky. I would agree, unlucky, but yeah.
on the other front, he also stopped a couple of very dangerous.
No, he did.
counter-attacks,
So,
especially the
like I said, I don't think he was as
for
bad.
sure.
But
For his standards, he was
I
bad.
think we've been a little
His-
slightly
for his-
harsher on Martinez because of the standards and what we
Yeah.
expect from him, I guess. Maybe.
I
But
still think Martinez and Varane and Van Bissaka, all 3 should be at a 6.
fair enough, fair enough. I would not completely disagree with you on that as well. So, like I said, I probably give him a 5.5, slightly a bit maybe for that, own goal. Maybe I just took that point 0.5 off. Unlucky though. But I'm fair enough. I completely agree. Understand you giving him the 6. What about Rohit?
Same, I think the other problem with Martinez was he got caught out because of Shaw a lot.
Yes.
I think
We'll
that
come to
ruined the
Shaw
game,
next, bro. We'll come to Shaw
Yeah.
next.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Shaw's
So,
positioning.
with that, I guess so. You agree with Akshat and with the average 6, right?
Yeah, same. 5.56. Yeah.
So now coming to Shaw, so I think Shaw was the worst defender we had today on the pitch. According to me, he had one of the worst games in a United shirt. And what we see quite often with Shaw is his positioning is really abysmal when it comes to defending. So I give him a 5, wherein we saw today a lot of times Shaw was very easily caught up with the
He was
ball on
tucked
top.
inside near the center
No,
backs.
so many times,
When
he was
shouldn't be
caught
there.
out with that ball on top, and
Yeah.
Kulusevski got the better of him and went around him very easily,
Yeah.
quite a few times. And a lot of the times when we saw the ball going out on the wing and Garnacho having to actually be the first man to stop the winger rather than our left back, who was, for some reason, who's always tucked into our centre back. I mean, it's more like Shaw wants to play left centre back and is always being sucked inside, and which is, I think, the cause, one of the biggest causes for a second goal, wherein we see that Shaw is bit of in the no man's land and is unable to block that ball coming in,
Yeah.
which goes to Martinez and deflects inside.
Garnacho couldn't catch up with the guy.
A bit, if Shaw was
in a
rightly
misposition.
positioned and closer
He could have closed
to
him
his
down.
man, he could have easily blocked
Yeah.
that ball coming in.
Yeah.
So definitely,
Agreed.
I think that was the first line of defense that was broken was
Yeah.
Shaw's error.
Yeah.
And then obviously, there were here and there lapses in concentration, but primarily I think that was on Shaw, the second goal. So what was your thoughts, Akshat and Rohit, on Shaw's performance?
He was really bad. Like, I think 5 is also like too
Generous,
good for him, right?
probably.
Very generous. I'll probably say I'll say at a stretch 3.5. I really want to give him a 3,
Wow.
but
I mean, yeah, I
Because-
feel you, bro. I
I'm a
completely
huge-
feel
I'm
you.
a huge Shaw supporter. But like in
Yeah.
this game,
He was
very
bad. He was bad. Even I
Oh,
agree.
he was poor. I'll
I back
agree.
Shaw as well.
Three.
This today he was bad.
So 3.5 from Akshat, and Rohit 3. Oh, so he's demoted a 0.5 and he's gone to 3. So Shaw gets a 3 from Akshat and Rohit.
I think I'll go with 5 to maybe a little more, a 5.25, 5.5. And the only reason for that is because I feel like Ten Hag played a 3-1-6, and I think Shaw was responsible, to be a part of the 6 and not part of the 3. And I think that's why he got caught out a lot.
I
Only
mean,
for
but
that
that's my
reason-
point, right? As a fullback and a modern fullback, that's your job. Going up does not mean that you fail
your
at
responsibilities
your
at the back.
primal duties. Like as a defender, your priority should be defending. You agree? I understand, that aspect of where we need you to join in on the attack, but not at the cost of your defensive duties.
The problem was we couldn't keep the ball. Usually when fullbacks bomb forward, you rely on your midfield keeping a hold
But
of the
again,
ball.
I
We
mean,
couldn't do that.
some of it, not everything can be done by the manager, and we can't be too critical of the manager
Yeah.
for everything as well. Some things as a player, you need to identify on the pitch. You need to be aware. You need to have that head up, look around, and see that, if I push forward right now, we could be more vulnerable behind if something goes wrong or if somebody loses the ball. Now, this is player intellect and the player vision. It's this is not something that can be
No,
taught a lot.
So Luke, in fact, Ten Hag has come out and he's complimented him on being a student of the game. Luke Shaw, like he feels that Luke Shaw is actually quite tactically
I mean,
aware. But today he had an
honestly,
off day. And
I feel
he
in
today
my
wasn't a good
in my honest
performance.
opinion, I think there is something off with Shaw in terms of maybe the mentality
Fitness
of
right now.
fitness, wherein it
He's not
seems
fit.
like he doesn't have that stamina to probably come back, or that he's slightly lazy,
He-
where he's always jogging or trotting back instead of being sprinting back.
Yes,
So,
he's a
yeah.
little like Wayne Rooney.
Exactly.
His body
So,
type
I
also
mean,
is a
yes.
lot like Rooney. It takes him
So,
time to get up to speed.
I feel like if
starting game में
Shaw-
थोड़ा सा he's a little
I
off.
honestly feel if Shaw can somehow find a way or to overcome this issue in his game, he can actually become the best left back in the entire
Premier League at
Premier
least.
League,
Yeah,
in my opinion. He has that quality in him, but it's that sort of weakness that is pulling and dragging him back.
Then I should play him all week. Like every day, every match.
उसको
Every day is
कार्डियो
a
करा
match day
उसको
for him.
कार्डियो.
Like, I mean, just for context, Craig out here meant that he wants Tenak to have Shaw on cardio duties all week.
He'll be fit for the next match.
Hopefully.
Probably.
No, but agreed on this point from Craig that he's a bit like Rooney on this. It takes him some time to you need to play him
You
to
need
get to
to
his
involve him more into the game with more
yes.
touches on the ball, I guess.
He looks a lot fitter at mid-season typically. Like his body, his cut and
But
everything.
exactly, I
looks
mean,
fit.
that's exactly
Right now
what
he isn't.
that is exactly, what we need to change, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
can't have that sort of a mentality wherein you are only fit in part of the game. Oh, I come back from vacation, so first half, give me some leave and go easy on me.
Yeah, he's like on what 200K a week. Should be ashamed
Yeah, I
of
mean,
himself.
exactly. You paid good money for this, so you
Yeah.
need to be on the ball, and this is the Premier League, man. It's the highest intensity league. So again, let's move on, guys. So let's come to Bruno Fernandes, our captain. Craig, I'll let you go ahead with this.
I love Bruno as a player, but today, pathetic. I mean, his header that he should have scored was a sitter. He missed that. First half performance was still decent, not bad, apart from that miss, of course. But then the second half, he couldn't get a pass right. I didn't see him put a pass right. There was no
in fact,
intent.
Bruno was quite decent in the first
He was
half.
decent,
I think
exactly.
in the first 35, 40
He was
minutes,
better.
he was quite decent. He was putting in some really brilliant balls.
Yes.
That Rabona assist,
The-
what the hell
that was
Like,
really good.
And I mean, that's sort of been an issue with Bruno, wherein in sometimes you can see in the same game he can have moments like that Rabona assist, wherein
And then he's absolute
conversely
trash.
the miss, like, what was up with that was unforgivable. I
Yeah.
mean, I love Bruno, and we all know that nobody leaves more on the pitch than that guy. He's an absolute engine and machine, but he was really poor today, and I mean, there is no forgiving for that sort of a miss.
That was a
And
Sunday league miss.
I think Bruno needs to find that composure a bit, wherein he's always, when he's on the ball, he's sort of in a rush to always end up creating something or do something. I think he needs to get slightly more composed, maybe look up a bit more, and sometimes that he has probably a bit more space than he realizes.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, you can say. Sometimes it works. When it works, it really works.
But it's
When it doesn't
absolutely
work, it doesn't
brilliant
work.
in terms of a counter-attacking,
Yeah.
setup. But that's the balance. He needs to find when to be that quick and when to, have that ability to understand. I have that space. Calm down today. Look up and move around. Because a lot of times we don't have somebody who can dictate the pace of the game. That's what we're lacking in midfield, I believe. Somebody who can dictate the pace of the game based on what we need out of the game at the time. A lot of the times we see chaos and there's nobody to calm the game down, slow the maybe tempo, pass around a bit, keep the ball, gain that confidence. So Bruno was really poor, I think, and I think Bruno is somebody that needs to probably do that a bit more. He's the captain. He needs to take more control of that midfield.
I think he
my
needs someone.
opinion.
I think he needs someone who's a little calmer on the ball alongside him.
Probably.
Right now, him be alongside Mount. Maybe they need time to adapt, but the balance of the
No,
midfield is
the
really
balance
off.
to
It's really
this
off.
midfield so far is not balanced. I really don't know how Ten Hag is gonna
Yeah.
fix this. Guys, Akshat, Rohit. So
What do you
we
guys-
our rating for Bruno has been a 5 because we think he's been below average today. What are your views in general in terms of these sort of games from Bruno and performances and the outlook of his today's game?
So I think Bruno is the perfect image of what United is right now.
Yeah.
When things go really well, so things can go really well, and he will probably be the world beater and the best player on the pitch at games. But the problem with United right now and probably Fernandes is when things go south, the head goes down. Like it's just like everyone starts to moan. Everyone is just like, okay, just hold it off. Let's try to get a defeat of 1-0, 2-0. Let's not go the Liverpool route.
Yeah, that
So-
I saw the Liverpool game. This is a highlight of what you're saying. This is exactly what happened to
But
him.
exactly what we need to solve, right?
Exactly. That is the problem, and Fernandez, like he's the captain, and I adore him. Like he has been the best thing over the last 10 years.
What
The
happened
best
to
signing, the
us?
best player, the best everything. Uh, but again, now he being the captain, he needs to lead from the front. Like even especially when we go 1-0 down, he needs to pull everyone up. Problem is he starts to moan, he starts to rant, and
I'll
then
agree.
that gets
That
tragic
is,
for everyone.
I mean, I honestly have never had an issue with him and his moaning in terms of it's okay. It shows that, he cares.
Yeah.
It definitely
But
does. But in situations like this specifically,
Yes.
when you see your team being down, dragged down with everybody's shoulder
as a
dropping,
captain, he needs
as
to
a
change
captain,
that. He needs to change
in
that
that
about himself.
particular instance, he needs to, stop that moaning and change rally the team up, lift them up, pull them like how we had Roy Keane,
Yeah.
who'd probably,
need that.
I mean, if you had any of these players doing what they're doing on the pitch with their, walking around with their shoulders dropped, Roy Keane would have whacked the sense out of these guys,
He would
dude.
have been red carded for injuring his own player. man.
Exactly. Roy Keane would have definitely been red carded. Maybe somebody like a Cantona would have given a drop kick to his own player, maybe. So, I mean, guys, we got Dhruvarya Rathore saying that attack was dead today. That penalty could have made a difference. Absolutely
Yeah,
agreed.
that was a very bad decision.
That-
Appalling.
I don't know, guys. Your opinion. We definitely
That's
need.
not a pen, then what is?
This is what happens like every time. Like social media goes into a meltdown every time a decision
Goes in
just
our
goes in
favor.
favor of us.
Yes.
And then from the next week, you just see referees being extra cautious.
But which is
Like,
really
the same happened
funny.
last year.
It was not
But
cautious.
this is
You
funny
made two
because
wrong decisions
if you saw
instead of
last
one.
season, we were only given 3 penalties. We were, I think, second or something.
exactly.
The least amount of
And that's
penalties are
because-
given against us.
And that's because of Mr. Jurgen Klopp moaning
Absolutely.
that United get- and then referees being extra cautious of every time
I mean, bro,
penalty call is there for a United game.
this was appalling. It was absolutely terrible refereeing.
It changes
First,
the game.
by the on-field referee, absolutely abysmal. For not give, I mean, it's a stonewall penalty. If that's not a penalty, I don't know what
How's
else
that
can be a penalty.
How's that a penalty? How's that a penalty? And how's that not a penalty? And the Martinez penalty in the Europa League first match when the ball.
How is
came
that
from
a
the
pen?
side.
Exactly.
How is that a
Exactly.
penalty?
Exactly.
I can never forget that.
I
Man,
mean,
it's hit his leg.
we've all seen
VAR
this,
have given-
and the inconsistency by VAR is just appalling. It's terrible. I mean, the technology is here to, in fact, improve the game to make things better. But to be honest, we all know since VAR has been introduced, it has done nothing but actually disrupt the game more, destroy the game more, and they've been making way more appalling and terrible decisions. And for some reason, it feels like since VAR has introduced, on-field refereeing has even become more poorer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, guys,
Fernandez-
it's still no reason to defend. I mean, we shouldn't be depending on penalties and penalty decisions to be winning
That
games,
would've
guys.
changed the flow
That's-
on the game,
Yeah,
though.
but
It
that's
would've
what
changed the
we've
flow
been
of the
since
game.
last year. Since last season, that's exactly a problem wherein we depend on things like this to win games or score goals. We need goals. We don't have any goals up front. I don't see goals from this team. Where do you see goals coming from this team?
Toothless.
Anthony needs to get much more creative up top. He needs to start dribbling more, take on players more, and he needs to improve his finishing. I mean, no, it doesn't matter if you score 2 world goals in an entire season when you're gonna actually miss 20 of those. I mean, we all know Robin was the same kind of player that always loved to cut in
Robin
and
got
curl
it
it
right
inside.
more often
But
than
that's
he
my
does.
point. Robin, nobody said anything to Robin because he always got it right. That's what Anthony needs to do. If that's what he likes to do, fair enough. But get to the point
He's
where you
still
do it
lacking
about 8 out of
confidence.
10 times.
But yes, Fernandez was a 5. I think we went over the board. Like we have stopped discussing
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Yeah. Fernandez. 5.
So we've even got Dhruvarya Rathore saying that Rashford is not a striker. He's as good as a piece of log. I mean, I will agree with you on that, and I
We're
think
playing with 10 men when Rashford plays up top.
yeah, we've already. I
We're
think
man down from the get go. That's what it is.
I mean, yeah, but I think we've already had a lot of discussion on Rashford today,
Yeah,
and we will have a bit more once we get to him. So let's leave it.
We'll
for
have a
there.
lot more opportunities.
Yeah.
As
So
in
Rohit,
the
what's
course
your
of the
rating
season.
for Fernandes? Moving on.
For Fernandez, I would say 4.5.
I was
Just
gonna
for
give him a
second half.
4.
Second half was very, very, very bad. Like there were so many passes that he misplaced, and I was just like I was watching the game and I was like, what the f is happening? Like his passes were going to the other team, and then I was so
Nothing was going
attacking
right for him.
Yeah, I mean, the
Nothing.
second half, it seemed like he was completely off of the game.
As a leader, after you miss a header like that, you should be up for the second half. You should be trying to
Yeah,
make
but that's the
things
thing,
right.
right? That's the problem with this squad. Once we do concede or we go down, it's like everybody just loses it rather than rallying in and using that frustration to do something ahead and attack. We sort of like get dejected. Anyways, guys, next is up is Casemiro, who I think probably was the
The best
best
midfielder.
outfield player.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
even
he was.
midfielder, probably
Best
the best
outfield player,
outfield
correct.
player. I'd give Casemiro a strong 6.5. He was slightly above average, but again, I think there's not much he could have done. He did all he could, in my opinion.
He was world
He was
class
a
in the
lot
first
better
half.
than last
He
game
was
we
world class
saw.
in the first
Yeah.
half. Second half again, he looked a little leggy towards the end of the game.
Again, I think that
But-
has to do with the team still looks like they need some time to get that fitness back. I don't
He
know
looked a
if
lot
this.
better than the last
I
game.
honestly don't know if this idea of preseason works, wherein we are traveling so much. So, anyways, hopefully, at least we saw Casemiro closer to his best. So, a strong 6.5 from us.
It's small.
Akshat,
It's
Rohit.
not much, but it is a positive.
I'll give him a 6. He missed the header as well. Like tentatively a bit easier.
I mean, he was
his header
offside.
was straight.
He was offside, but I completely agree with you
Was
that
he?
that should have.
He
yeah.
wasn't off. He wasn't off. He wasn't off. It
Rashford-
was saved.
No.
The keeper saved it.
The keeper saved.
Little more to the corner and it was a goal.
That was Casemiro.
That
huh?
was that was Casemiro.
correct,
Varane was
correct,
offside.
yeah,
Casemiro was on.
No,
Keeper
Casemiro,
saved
yeah,
it.
that was actually a good save by Vicario.
That was a really good header also.
That was
Just
actually a good save by Vicario.
happens sometimes, I guess.
No. I think the header could have been a bit better. Like
I mean, agreed. Now, see, this is what I'm talking about. Now, we're talking about a central defensive midfielder who had the intellect to attack that box, make that run,
He's good
get
with his
into the
head.
position, and actually make a good connect. And it's a central defensive midfielder. We had an instance with a forward in a similar sort of position. Yeah, he was slightly offside, Rashford. But did we see what Rashford did? So, I mean, if we have a forward, taking headers that's nowhere in front of goal, we can't be criticizing our defensive midfielder for getting a powerful header, on target. That made Vicario work.
True.
The defensive midfielder at the end of the day, that is not his job. Honestly.
Defensive midfielders are meant to be better in the air and better with their headers. And
So are forwards. So are strikers and forwards, bro.
Yes,
They are, in fact,
We don't have a striker
in
right
fact,
now.
a striker
Forget it.
and forwards are supposed to be way better in the air. Come on, guys.
Like if like
Look,
Man
as a
City
defender
can
and a
direct the
midfielder, as a defensive midfielder and a defender, all you need to do is get your head to the ball. You don't need to always direct the ball. As a striker and
got
a
good
forward,
power on that
you
shot,
need
bro.
to be
He
able
got
to
good power on
direct
the
the
header.
ball much better than any defensive
He got good
defender or
direction
defensive
and power on
midfielder.
the header.
As
It's
a
not his
defender, you
fault.
can just head it any direction as long as it goes far away. But as a forward, you need to have the precision to be able to direct it to the target.
Yeah.
And I don't see anybody in our attacking lineup that can head a ball.
Casemiro and Varane are best headers.
Exactly.
We have
Casemiro
one
and
up
Varane
front
are best
who
headers.
can even get close to heading a ball. Rashford missed a header in the
Anyways,
first half.
guys, let's move ahead and not
Mount.
get too distracted. in the
Our new
frustration.
number 7, the
So,
next one in line
let's
to
mount.
flop.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the next one in line to flop, man.
And that curse, I'm telling you,
The
man,
number 7 curse is real.
it's really real. So again, Mount was a 5. Agreed. I feel he was a bit better than the last game, wherein we could see a bit more running around. He did put in a shift, but again, a lot of the times Mount I felt was lost between whether I should stick back or whether I should push ahead, in my opinion. And he ended up being not there for both somehow.
Headless chicken.
Yeah, he
I'd
looked
say.
like he's just running
Headless
around and
chicken running
chasing
around
the
the
game and
pitch.
the ball the entire 90 minutes.
The effort
So-
was there, but no direction.
Exactly.
Pointless.
So
Aimless.
what do you guys think, guys?
I would give Mount a good 6.5, and the reason for that is because he played like there's no clarity on his position right now. Like he's playing as a double 8, but he's also playing. I think at times I thought he was playing as the
6.
partner with
Casemiro, yeah. Yeah, at
And I
times
saw
he
him
did look
track
like a
back.
number 6, and at times he wasn't. That's what I felt, that he was stuck in between, you know.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
again, a
So
position he's not
the thing,
familiar with,
he's
and
had a full preseason. Don't
new
forget,
team, exact. Yeah,
he's had a
but
full preseason.
that's what my
It's
point
taking
is,
him
you
a
know. I
long
mean,
time.
when again, you know, there's a lot of issues in this team, and I think
You
we can
can't
still give
pin
Mount
it
some
on
more
him.
time. We can't
Yeah,
pin it on one player. There's
yeah.
with a whole squad being so terrible, you know. So I guess, yeah, 6.5 from Rohit. Akshat, what about you?
Yeah, I think a 5. But then on the overall sense, I'm still not that worried about Mount. It will take some time for him to get used to it. Even in like world beaters team of Man City, Grealish took some time to settle in. Overall, he's still pretty young. He runs, he gives his all in
Yeah,
terms
he
of.
definitely gave his heart out today. We could see the intent
Yeah.
and the effort at least.
But yes, like sky's the limit for him. He still needs to like be a
Absolutely,
big
he's
player.
still young, but see, this is the issue, right, with our club right now, that we're having to put in the sort of pressure on these young players and these new signings who are just come in and settling in, wherein we need to actually be able to give them the time to settle in. They're all coming into the squad where they're having to put in shifts in positions that they're not used to. And I mean, we can see players that are here in the club since years and they can't do the job that is expected of these guys who have just come in. So yeah, agreed, guys. So
Move on
let's
to
move on
Anthony.
to
Yeah.
Anthony. And Dhruvarya Rathore says that I would prefer to play Bobo in the team rather than Rashford as striker. So I mean, clearly we can see the frustration, and we'll come to Rashford, Dhruvarya. Don't worry. I mean, we're close now. So Anthony, guys, Craig.
5.
5 from Craig, and I would agree on that. I
Flatters
think
to deceive.
Anthony still is. I mean, I still think we don't have a better winger to play on the right, and also in terms of he's the best defensive winger we've had. But unfortunately, he's good at everything other than what we want him to be good at right now.
There was a moment in the second half where he lost the ball. He regained it by tackling Son. He had space to pass it.
And he
And what
missed
does
it
he go
again.
and do?
Misplaces
He
the pass.
misplaces the pass and gives it right back to Son.
I mean, I think
That is a summary of his time at United so
I
far.
think it's gonna be a big
Very
season
bad.
for Anthony, right, guys? I think this is gonna be a very big season for Anthony.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is
Make or
this
break,
is
I
yeah,
feel.
this is the
At
season
least for
where
the
he
fans. Maybe
needs
not
to,
Ten Hag, but for us,
yeah, he
it's
needs to
make or
get
break.
more confidence into the game. I would like to see him offer more up top, wherein try take on more players, go do those dribbles. It's okay even if they're unsuccessful, but I would like that to see more initiative rather than just holding the ball, looking up and realizing, oh, I am blocked by a player, or passing sideways or behind.
He needs to hit the gym.
Yeah, he needs,
He
and
needs to hit the gym. He needs to bulk
he
up.
needs to be
He's
stronger.
lightweight. He's still lightweight. I would have expected
Yeah,
over the
for the
summer.
Premier League, definitely,
Should have bulked
because
up, man.
he's. I mean, I see the energy in terms of the energy and firepower. He's the best we have, but
He gets
he
rammed
lacks
3 feet in the air
because he lacks
The fullback
physicality.
just ram into him,
So,
and he's gone. He's off. He's
he
off
needs
the
to be
pitch.
stronger. He
That's too
definitely
weak.
needs to
Ahmad
be
is stronger than him, and he's a kid.
And he needs to improve his finishing. Also, I don't know, and I don't know why none of our wingers
Can't cross to save their
they
life.
don't, they just don't want to. They refuse to use that space on the flank, or go down the channels,
down
or
the byline
cross
and
in,
cross the ball
or
in.
put balls in. It's like they only want to cut in or shoot. That's it. Just cut inside, shoot. Whether it's Rashford, whether it's Garnacho, whether it's Anthony, they're all doing the same thing. With Garnacho, maybe he's still a little more, in terms of he still uses the flank a bit more as compared to the others.
He's
but
more
not,
direct.
Yeah, but not as much as you would want. Now I see an issue wherein even when Hoyland comes in, how does Hoyland score? Because I don't see us creating chances for Hoyland. We can't cross for shit. We can't make passes. We can't link up. We can't pass around defenses. We can't
help.
dribble. We can't cross in. We
can't pass through, we can't pass
channels.
around,
Yeah,
we
we
can't
can't pass
cross.
through. So how, if we can't create, how is Hoyland gonna score? With no,
He's
gonna
gonna have
be,
to drop deep a lot.
but
That is what
that's
Hoyland's
what I'm
gonna have
telling
to
you.
do.
Hoyland will drop deep. He will probably release the winger. But if that winger again
Gonna
does
lose the
not put in
ball.
a cross,
Yeah,
or loses
he's
the
not
ball,
gonna get it
or
back.
tries to cut in and shoots and misses, what's the point?
In fact, we barely cut in and shoot also. They typically
But even
our
when we
wingers
do-
wait for the fullback to cross them to overlap, and then we pass it. They pass it to the fullback. Fullback passes it back.
I'll tell you why.
They pass it.
I'll
into
tell you why
midfield.
this happens now. Because our wingers currently don't have the dribbling ability to dribble
No
past
belief,
a player.
no ability.
So what they need essentially is they need a fullback to overlap so they can use the fullback to suck the player so they get
They can
space
cut
to
in
come
and-
inside.
yeah.
Because they can't do it themselves dribbling creatively. They don't have the ability to quickly drop shoulder, give those body feints, and get that defender off balance and cut inside. So they need another man to suck a defender to create that space to cut inside, which is not going to happen now because this is a thing that our oppositions have identified for our club. They know that United are not going to the flanks. They don't have the ability to dribble and they don't have the ability to cross. So all defenders, all teams start defending narrow and they let us go to the wing because they know we can't cross for shit or we can't dribble.
We really need Ahmad. I mean, I know he's a kid, but he's
Again,
probably got the
we're
belief
again
to
talking
dribble.
about
A kid who
getting
shouldn't be
Ahmad when that's
expecting-
not what we should be doing as a club, as fans. We should be demanding more from our club.
We aren't gonna sign any
need
wingers,
to
though,
sign
let's face
players. We need
This
to sell
season.
players. This needs to change. These players need to be forced out. We can't take such stupid decisions, which is why we need to voice our opinions. I mean, stop this bullshit on Twitter, the murder madness and a great transfer window. It's not.
Pathetic.
Say it how it
Pathetic.
is. I'm tired of this mainstream media defending the club and
Yes,
throwing this
that's right.
positive PR spin.
Players that have joined because of Ten Hag.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not because of the club or Murta doing anything great.
That idiot's work is to sell players.
And he can't do that for shit.
Ten Hag has been coming out and defending the club a lot, like how Oli
has to,
and
he
the
has
others did.
No, but I
And
understand that.
we know that if we read between the lines, we know what Ten Hag really feels, but he can't voice his opinion himself.
You have to understand
Which is
what,
really
what,
sad.
what do we expect Ten Hag to do? Moan like Mourinho did in mainstream
And then
media
get
and then
kicked
get
out.
kicked out of the club. How does he help United by doing that?
Yeah. He can't even.
There's not much. See, there's only a limit to how much you can press as a manager. Now, we all know the problem is up there. We need new owners. We need to be sacking. It's appalling what's happening at this club. What is completely happening and completely shambles of transfer window once again, the second year of Ten Hag, and it's terrible. As always, it's the same story, and we're stuck with the Glazers. The whole sale news is dead. Now they're trying to probably buy time. I mean, it's ridiculous. In any ways, I mean, this will
What do
never
you
end.
guys, what do you guys think about Anthony? Akshat,
Yeah, so let's quickly go through your ratings, guys. Rohit, Akshat,
5.
5 for Akshat and
Very
Rohit.
very frustrating player. Like you can see he's giving his all. Like Craig exactly mentioned. Even I was going to mention that instant of the match. Oh, he lost the ball. He did so well to get the hold of the ball, and then he just.
He gives it back.
I'm like,
That's
no.
I don't know what this is, man. It's something to do with Manchester United.
They're
I don't
cursed.
know the jersey or curse. Like
There's
it's
a
like
voodoo curse on us
even
right
when
now.
talented players come to our club, it's like
They turn to be shit.
Yeah, it's like there's like a magical barrier as soon as they enter the
Minus 10 points.
Yeah, it's like they get into the training complex. The second they cross that barrier, there's boom, skills gone. They can't take touches anymore. They can't dribble anymore. Like,
Let's
come
move on to our man of the match. Rashford.
Garnacho, bro. We still have Garnacho to rate. Guys, Garnacho.
Let's talk about both of them.
Yeah, let's club Garnacho and Rashford. Oh, we've got Antonio in the chat saying we need to get the ball on the ground and pass and move and stop. Stop putting the ball in the air over the top. I agree with Antonio.
Our
Man.
players are static. There's no movement. Like no one's making a run. No one's trying to suck a defender.
There's no
That's the problem.
cohesion.
Exactly.
There's no cohesion. And see, this comes from the midfield.
Yeah.
If your midfield is not balanced, if your midfield, like I said, we don't have somebody that native box to box midfielder, somebody who can control the tempo. Maybe somebody sort of like Rodri is for Manchester City that can dictate the pace based on how we want. We need that midfielder that can take his head up and based on the current game dictate the tempo, whether slow it down, pass around through the channels, pass and move, create those sort of triangles that
I
we
miss
don't.
Paul Scholes.
But again,
I really miss Paul Scholes, man.
do that, we need off the ball movement, which very few of our players have off the ball movement.
In fact, one thing I've noticed is Mount. I mean, I've not watched too much of him, He hardly played a couple of games for us. But Mount seems to lack that long range pass that Eriksen has. He typically passes a little closer, short passing, but he doesn't have that
Again,
diagonal ball that
so
he can release the
which is
winger.
which is
Doesn't have that.
why
Bruno's better at that.
I would have rather had Bruno a bit deeper this game.
Yes.
And Mount up top rather
Yes.
than Mount deeper and Bruno up top. I know Mount gives that slightly bit more defensive cover, but I think with the way we are set up right now and the only outlet of an attack being long balls, the right person to be deeper would be
Is
Bruno,
Bruno.
because he has that passing arsenal, that long range ability to create something out of probably nothing.
Mount is a more mobile player that we need to use to run
in
into
fact,
channels and
we
try to
can
link up.
probably even use Mount on the left. Even I think later on when we made substitutions, rather than pushing Bruno to the right, which we all know doesn't work,
Should have
I would
put
have probably
Mount on
put
the left.
Mount to the right.
Mount, yeah.
Mount, I think, can probably
He can put
play
in
on the
across.
wings better.
He can put in a cross better than our wingers can.
He's
for
the one
sure.
on corner duty right now.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that, right? Maybe he's sort of like still better than the rest.
He is.
So
He's a set piece expert, no? He's
so
been that way.
Garnacho, I would give him a 5.5. I mean, he's young. I don't want to put down, a youngster. We've already putting a lot of pressure on him. So, but I think, in terms of decision making, he still has scope to improve. So I guess that 0.5 was only, I think, a bit
Grace.
because of,
'Cause he's a
the
kid.
decision making. And I don't want to, criticize the kid more. We should
He
not
was
be
better.
bringing
He was
him
better
down.
than the Wolves game, but he was still nowhere near good enough, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's young, man. He's still a kid. He will take time. These are his first few experiences, starting games. It's not like, he's done that a lot. And sky's the limit, he will eventually improve.
Yeah.
We've seen what he's capable of. So moving on, guys, now Rashford.
For world class
Boom,
4.0.
boom. This is going to be the highlight of the show, guys.
4.0 Rashford, Marcus Rashford.
Marcus Rashford 4.0.
In fact, you should change it and mark it as Trashford for this
Trashford.
game.
Trashford 4.0.
Because that's who turned up today. It wasn't
So
Marcus
guys,
Rashford, it was Marcus
I think
Rashford.
we all can agree unanimously that in
Our worst
saying
player
that
on the pitch
our
today
worst player on the pitch
was
today
Marcus
was Marcus Rashford.
But
So Akshat, what are your opinion?
I thought Walcott retired yesterday, but probably he turned up in a United shirt as a number 10 today. I mean, he was
Bro, even Walcott's better at this point, man. Like, I would have brought on Walcott today.
Bro, I
If
mean,
he wasn't
I was
hadn't
I was
retired.
watching the Brighton game today, and to be honest, I mean, Welbeck looked better than Rashford was today. So,
Enough said, man. Enough said. He actually did.
so I
I think
mean,
I've already expressed my views on Rashford a lot in this video, but on Garnacho, that's the whole problem. Like, even if you remember what I mentioned during the lineup for our Wolves game, Garnacho has always had good games when he comes after the halftime, when he comes.
We need to change that. We need to change that.
See,
Akshat.
I understand
We need to
Ten Hag
change
starting him also, because obviously you need to change that. You need to give him that experience of starting as well, and he needs to find a way to impact even when he's starting. I understand the impact that he has while coming off, because obviously he has that electric pace at the dying ends of the game where defenders can't keep up. But we need Garnacho to now start, even getting a bit of experience of starting to be able to do the same thing that he does coming on even in the start
Right
of
from the
games,
start. of
right from the
whistle, yeah,
start.
right from the
He's young,
start.
man. Like, he's
Yeah,
still
he's-
at 18, 19. He needs
Yeah,
to,
so there's a
needs
lot
to
of
probably
time. Yeah,
stand
he
games
has
when he's
time.
already had a good run.
No, he has time, and again, like I said, in terms of threat,
He'll get
he
better.
still looks the best.
He's our best threat, and he will get
So-
better as the season progresses. I'm sure.
Exactly.
We'll see
So-
more and more of him.
Yeah, so I mean,
But I mean, again, not being too harsh on him, if he's starting, I think we missed 2 or 3 good crossing opportunities in the first half because of him. So, like, it's all well and good when you say, okay, he's young.
no, I mean,
he's
like
a
I
kid,
said,
he's young.
I would not ideally want Garnacho to be,
Starting
put
player.
the sort of pressure that's been put on him. I don't want that on our young player.
We don't have
on
an
somebody
option.
who should be, actually be
Groomed.
easily groomed and
Yeah.
brought into the team.
Like Foden
I
has
mean,
been.
ideally, you should not be having to throw your young players in a situation like this where your team is struggling. You should be introducing them in games where your team's probably 2-0, 3-0 up, and give them that
Give
20,
them that
25
boost.
minutes to go play in that, high confidence possession team, wherein they gain that confidence and then get more touches on the ball rather than being thrown into, directly into games where he has to be at his best or gets criticized,
Yeah.
which is absolutely wrong, and which is, I think, an issue that was the biggest, I think, drawback and unfortunate occurrence for Anthony Alanga. I think Alanga's lost 2 years of his development because we had to throw him inside.
He's probably going to develop really well at Forest.
Yeah,
next 1
exactly.
year.
So, with Garnacho, ideally, I would like Garnacho to be developed like how Phil Foden is being at City. He's easily better than, all our attackers right now, Phil Foden combined. Every bloody attacker we have in that squad, Foden's better, but how much does he start?
Yeah.
That's how you need to bring a young player up.
Foden's going to be ready by the time Bernardo's are set to leave.
Foden's going to be absolutely ready
He's
by then.
gonna be
So that's
proper
the sort of
world-class.
development I want for Garnacho. But Ten Hag's hands are tied, bro. Look at how thin our squad is. Who could he have brought on to
There was
make
no
a massive
one.
change other than maybe Jadon Sancho?
Bringing on Martial and
Eriksen
Sancho.
coming on, like, we haven't rated substitutes because they barely had anything to do. But Eriksen looked quite off the pace. He looks, since the last injury, he's been back. No, he looks
He
a
hasn't
bit
looked
off.
the same player,
He
yeah.
hasn't looked the same.
He hasn't
I
looked
think
the same.
Eriksen still needs some time because it still seems that he's not completely fit.
Yeah.
Since he's come from that injury. So
None of our players look fit. to be honest.
Sancho, yes, he sort of brings slightly a bit more control into the game, but he still lacks that electrifying ability or that attacking threat going forward. It's like he's lost his dribbling ability or going past players.
I think it's the last season for Sancho. It's his third or fourth season.
Third. I think it's his third
See,
season.
again, now this is my concern,
gonna
and
be-
this is what I fear.
How much are we gonna get
is,
for him next
no,
year?
If this year maybe we could have still gotten something for Sancho.
We
But
still
next
can.
year, another one entire year, and if he doesn't perform, and if he's performing the same way he has right now, that's another year gone by of him absolutely not performing, and now nobody would probably pay.
Even now, no,
money.
we wouldn't have any suitors now. Maybe PSG
That's what I
might,
said.
they
That
can probably
maybe
present him to
before we
PSG.
started this season, we could have probably gotten something of Sancho. Maybe
I'd get
like a 50
Mitoma in
million.
right now for the same price.
Yeah, I'd probably get sort of like a 45-50 mil price for Sancho, but next I don't see us
Brighton
getting
will
even
not sell.
40 next season. And again,
Brighton will not
another
sell
player that'll
Mitoma
get
for
stuck.
anything less than
Huh?
120, 120 million.
90, 100, 120,
I mean,
130,
dude,
140.
look at Brighton and players like Enquiries and Mitoma, what they're doing.
Yeah.
For how much time are we gonna offer to players like Rashford and Sancho?
But again, Ankit, you should remember one thing. They're playing at Brighton. When you're playing at United,
The pressure.
the shirt is heavier and the pressure is much more.
But
And there's
that's
a
what my
chance
point
Mitoma
is,
might
right?
not be able to perform.
Which is why you're being paid that sort of wages as well, right?
Why-
To handle that sort of pressure. That's again not an excuse. The problem
I
is,
don't buy this. I don't buy this idea of playing for United. It has more.
no,
more
I
pressure
mean,
and stuff like that.
pressure, that's bullshit, to be honest. If you, I mean,
in the end, it's the points that matters, right? Brighton has demolished two teams and they are on 6 points.
and look, honestly, what you gotta understand, we are Manchester United. We need to stop falling into the trap of mediocrity that the Glazers have set.
Correct.
So we as fans need to demand the best and not settle for mediocrity. And I think that is the most on the note that we should probably
parting
end
piece.
this show at.
Yeah.
That this is what we need better. We need a lot more. Ten Hag needs to find a way to solve this midfield, and
We need 3 signings by next week to
we need to be
put it
we
into
need
a couple of words.
boss do something, and somehow we need to force players out, boss. We need to sell, and we need to get in a few players, or I don't see us
Nah.
coming top 4 as well,
We
bro.
were
It's
joking
gonna
about
be a
Spurs
task.
being top 8. Spurs owned us today.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, look, Spurs were also
They
there for
owned
the
us.
taking. They weren't also the best,
Second
but
half, they took us,
they
man.
were
They were
definitely
better than
the
us.
better side today. So
Yeah.
That's a big concern.
yeah, it is. It
Our
is.
current
I mean,
squad,
I
not
would
good enough.
definitely like to see a lot of changes next week. These players need to get up and wake up from the sleep, the slumber that they're in. A lot of these players need to get that mentality sorted out, and they need to put in a lot more for the shirt, man. That's what I feel. So, guys, on that note, I think it's been a fabulous show, a bit longer than we probably would have expected. But
We had to get it off our chest, I guess.
with the entire
Still
transfer
not off the
bullshit.
chest. I can go all night.
I mean, I'm sure we all can, but I think we should we should give our viewers some time to sleep, because I'm sure everybody's frustrated, and That is how it
Weekend is
is
gone,
right
man.
now
The
as a
whole week
United
is
fan.
yeah.
Huh?
Weekend is ruined. The
Yeah,
whole
man. I
week.
mean, that's the life of a United fan, man. I mean,
We're used to it. It's been happening for a
it's
decade,
terrible.
man.
But guys, anyways, it was a great show. So great insights. I
Yeah.
loved all of your views and opinions about the game, and how you guys think we can improve or what we need to be done. Let's hope that Ten Hag can address this situation really quickly, and maybe we see some incomings and a much better game next. And thank you so much, guys, for tuning in
Yeah.
and bearing with all of us and our rants. And if you guys enjoyed the video and the content, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel on the bottom right hand corner of your screen. Hit that notification bell. It will really help us and mean a lot to us.
Yes.
We have a lot more content coming up for you guys in the near future. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see you guys next week on Before the Whistle.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Peace. Good night.
Thank you, guys.